10th, 11th or so. And every once in a while a new bus would roll in and everyone would get excited, like, oh, we get to ride on a new bus. But in general, so I guess they have a stop here. I'm not sure where else you can get Greyhound. It sort of became a place to hang out a lot, I guess. It's, you know, my concern is you used to be able to walk into the station and get a ticket right on scene. You might be able to go to the 30th Street station, the train station, and get a bus ticket. Maybe you can buy from a kiosk there, but it's down to like everyone buying stuff online. But a lot of people would do last minute purchases right at a kiosk in the Greyhound station. So I have no clue what's going on with that. I'm fascinated. But I guess the pandemic might have forced Philly to clean out a lot of things. I have no idea what happened. I wasn't here when the changes were made. I was away for 2.5 years in Gainesville, Florida, and then the pandemic came about. But I did ride the bus. Greyhound I rode for about a year in a 2-year program of getting my MFA at night. And twice a week I would travel into New York City. I could get some seriously cheap tickets online. They had all kinds of deals. Sometimes, like once I got a ticket for like $4 round trip, which is unheard of, but usually it was like $14 round trip. It could be done online. In person, it was actually more expensive if you were to buy it at a kiosk. The first year I rode Megabus, the first year that I rode into New York, but I was talking to a friend and he's like, you can get, I thought it was cheaper to take Megabus. He's like, you can get the same ticket price through Greyhound if you go online. So I was like, oh, you know, I'll check online. So for the first year I took Megabus, the second year I took Greyhound. Greyhound was slightly more orderly, you know, when they had the station. Now they don't, so I don't know what to say. But back in the day, you know, you stood in a line, they had, you know, rules were enforced a certain way. Megabus, of course, you just stand on the sidewalk, and it looks like Greyhound might have taken that route, at least for now, unless they're building a new station. But it was better. Technically, it was a little bit nicer to have the lines because there were a bunch of employees who sort of made sure people didn't act up too much or behave like buffoons, because when you just crowd around on the street, all of a sudden it's a third world country issue of, oh, we don't do lines. It's just whoever crowds first and butts in front of each other gets on the bus first. Not all buses have assigned seats. In fact, I never sat in an assigned seat, so you just like load it on. But thought that was interesting that today people can't hang out in a bus station in Philadelphia and experience sort of maybe a more controlled line situation. Interestingly though, a lot of things would happen which could get you all nervous, like say you have your ticket and you know you're getting on the right bus, and for some reason the driver or the ticket checker before you get on the bus is looking at your ticket going, you're not supposed to be on this bus, and you're like, you know you're supposed to be on this bus. And that could go on for 5 minutes. And I noticed this, it was helpful to watch someone named Noel Phillips, N-O-E-L Phillips, and he was showing his travels cross country on a Greyhound bus, out and back, and he experienced the same exact issue. So I wondered if it became like habitual to do this. A lot of people love to get people upset, scared. It's happened to me at the airport. I once was going to visit a friend, and it was like a big deal to actually get a ticket, and it was only for a couple days. And it's like, okay, there can be no delays, no nothing. The airport attendant person, the ticket person, tried to claim that there was some really bad weather and that maybe I should wait for a different plane. they were trying to con me into getting on a different plane. I was like, I'll take my chances because it was 2 legs. I was like, I know the weather's fine, at least getting to, say, Michigan or wherever there was or Chicago or whatever. So I'll take the first leg and take it from there. No issues, everything was fine. There were no weather issues, you know, the entire trip. Both legs were totally fine. And I was like, why is this person arguing so much to say that there's some sort of, you know, weather delay when there wasn't? They were just trying to reshuffle people onto different planes or create a mishap, or they wanted to see how gullible I was. So people think I'm gullible, and then they wind up in an all-out, drag-out cat play until the right thing is done. That's so funny. So if I had done what the guy suggested, I would have missed out on an entire day and a half of the trip, which was only like 2.5 to 3 days. I can't believe it. So this has happened on buses. I don't see, you're not listed on here to be on this bus. And it's like, well, my ticket says the number and the destination right here, but with my name on it, I just purchased it at the window. Let me see, or I purchased it 5 hours ago. And this game will be played relentlessly for people who are especially targeted. So I'm kind of glad Noel Phillips showed it when he was taking this cross-country trip. It made me feel better because I was like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. And sure enough, Noel Phillips had the correct ticket. It took like 10 minutes for whoever was looking at the ticket, whether it was the driver checking tickets or someone who was doing it for him. It took like 10 minutes. That's what he wanted. Took like 10 minutes for the driver or the ticket collector to acknowledge and fess up that Noel Phillips was supposed to be on that bus. I'm not sure. I mean, other than hating life, like, I can totally see working in certain capacities that you just hate everything. Greyhound is a very rough job, career situation. I totally get it. But after a while, it's like when someone's being super nice to you, like, be nice to the nice people, you know? And, you know, focus on giving a hard time to the people who are real pains in the asses, you know what I mean? So I just thought that was really interesting. So that's the downside of traveling by bus for certain. You know, it can be a real nightmare. And obviously traveling on buses is not preferred, you know what I mean? But, you know, in the airplane situation, actually, that's happened twice, airport situations. One was when I was going to visit someone, this was 2010, in Seattle. And it was literally like, I was only going to be there for like a day and a half. I was traveling out, stay there for a day and a half, 2 days, come right back. So it was like barely any time spent in that city. So I couldn't really I couldn't really withstand any delays or any major hiccups that would have ruined the whole thing. A long time ago in the 90s, a distant relative who was really closer to my dad's side of the family, she and I went out to LA, really Oxnard, California, but we're flying into LAX. And I used Priceline because it was very new at the time. And I used Priceline to get seats and everything. Get up to the window, and they tried to claim that there was no record of us being on the plane.